Overwatch 2 is actually really, really good. I really don't think there's much arguing. Mechanically, it's smooth and feels robust. If you have the mechanical skill, you can dominate. And, a lot of us don't. A lot of us aren't great. The fact of the matter of abilities on cooldowns, there's just such a high ceiling for gameplay. Also, at the same time, there's such a low bar of like launching abilities this way, launching abilities that way. That's kind of like further than I wanted to get in that fast. I really do think that Overwatch 2 is good. It's fun to play. And there's a lot of people upset about the sequel being not a sequel. And that's definitely something I want to talk about more in a later video. I wanted to touch on the good things that make this a good game, a good fun game, a good experience, regardless of what it's called. I mean, yeah, it sucks that it was promised as one thing and didn't really live up to that in a lot of people's eyes, but I do see this as a new chapter for Overwatch, and that's exactly what it needed. If you think that Overwatch was perfect the way it was, then have you played it recently? Maybe you have, but I haven't. I lost interest years ago. Maybe not lost interest, but like I've always loved Overwatch. It's always one of those games that is pretty highly addictive to me. There's just something about it that leaves you wanting more, and things that happened in Overwatch 1 to make the game stale. It was time that some change happened, and I'm glad that it did. At least we have something different. I don't know if I'll say new. I mean, it's technically new. It's literally new. Is it Overwatch 2? I don't know. I don't think it is, to be honest. As much as I want to play like devil's advocate, it could be a sequel. I really don't think it is. The good thing is we got a good shakeup. The way that they relaunched the game did bring a lot of players back and a lot of new players in. I've already seen a good amount of people saying, I never played Overwatch 1, but I'm loving Overwatch 2. What are you guys complaining about? I think there's a lot of credit to that. There's a lot of merit there. Like, even if you've played the first game and it's not a huge difference, like, it's still a fun game, and you can't really deny that. If you really had a problem with Overwatch 1, then I guess you're really gonna have a problem with Overwatch 2. As far as like just the deep mechanics of it, things are different. A lot of characters are like basically completely reworked, and the entire game itself is a 5v5 rather than 6v6 is a huge change. There's no poke and long ass sustained fights that last minutes, just a bunch of poking and damage and then building the ults, and then everyone pops off at once and the last team alive, or like the last character or two alive, takes that point and has the major advantage because the whole thing starts over again. I don't think that's a great way to play. I really doubt that anybody thinks that's a great way to play. I think that's a good reason why a lot of people came off the game, because I mean, 2 tanks, and especially the way the tanks were, just shields for days. And granted, I'm sure there's a lot that I missed in like the 3 to 4 years that I didn't really play Overwatch 1, where they were trying to fix these things, but it sounds like a lot didn't get done. This was the change they needed to get rid of some of those slower things in the game that made it just feel stale and boring and not fun to play. And now, with things moving faster, with 5v5, there's 2 less people in the game to be faffing about on the point or trickling in one by one, so you're really not getting anywhere, even though one team feels like they're killing the enemy over and over, and someone's stalling like a freaking hamster ball's running around the point. I mean, obviously that's still there to some point, or it could be, but it's certainly not the way it used to be. I think the changes they made were good, and we don't have to get into them here. I'm sure you've heard it by now. As far as state of it is now, I think it's good. I think it's fun. The question is, are they going to be able to hold people? Will it fall off? Will it be Halo Infinite and in 2 months the player base will be absolutely tanked? That is where the question is, and that's where pressure it needs to be felt by Blizzard. I don't know if they have a current roadmap out that I haven't heard, but they need to make sure something is happening very soon. The season. We don't want the season and the battle pass to be the first 2-3 months of content. I don't want to see Overwatch 2 in the exact same state it is 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. I don't want Overwatch 2 to just pile up on the garbage pile of modern video games that I've been massively excited for, that were not properly supported, that were not ready to launch, just were not ready and are not ready still. It's so damaging when you release something that's not finished with no content and really nothing changes in an amount of time that makes sense. And especially as gamers, we're getting used to it. And that sucks. You're already going into it with a negative experience, a negative mindset. What is more damaging than that is the industry as a whole kind of goes in the same direction of, we're going to put out a game that's going to be hyped to shit. It's going to look epic, and you're going to play it and be disappointed and sad that you paid for it. There are games that didn't do this, or that did and recovered, like Battlefield 4 launched with a whole ton of issues. Over time, they pumped that shit out, and they made Battlefield 4 great.
So it's been a couple days since I've recorded this, and since then they did come out with the Halloween event. Junkenstein, the Bride Returns, or whatever. The Halloween event, okay? You know what I'm talking about. Junkenstein's Revenge, Wrath of the Bride. It's pretty cool. We get a fresh event very shortly after the game releases, which is great. I do think that's a step in the right direction. I do think it's a little bit similar to what we got in the first game, which I personally was never a fan of. This does seem elevated to that, and if this is any taste, little snippet of what we're going to get with the PvE later next year, then I think this is a good sign. There's definitely some new things here opposed to the last game. It is definitely more narrative driven and definitely more cinematic, changing up the fundamentals of the game entirely, like the ghost thing. It's nothing huge, I wouldn't say. It's better than what I remember. However, now it looks like there's a lot of challenges in the game, because it's free to play, that are designed to keep you playing these new game modes they add. And granted, there's a ton of them, a ton of variants of the old Junkerstein event and the new event, I believe. In all these different modes and difficulties, they have challenges that give you points for the battle pass. Now, I don't think there are a lot of Halloween stuff in the battle pass. I might be ignorant and wrong about that, but it doesn't really seem like these are giving you things for the event, and those are locked behind the paywall, other than the watch 4 hours of Overwatch 2 on Twitch, which I guess I'm okay with. It's just like, is that a good way to promote the game? I guess, but I don't know. So I guess a lot of things are going to be based on replaying still, which I never really was a fan of, just replaying the thing for the sake of it. But now that there's achievements types challenges in the game, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are into grinding those challenges like that. I just never was an achievement hunter type player myself.
We can take a look at the roadmap that they announced, and it is a 2-month season. So in the beginning of December, there's going to be a new tank hero. We just got the 3 new heroes with Overwatch 2's release, Sojourn, Junker Queen, and Kiriko. We got the new maps and the battle pass and the free-to-play model. So we'll get a new battle pass starting December 4th. We'll get a new tank hero, which I think is huge. More skins and cosmetics with the battle pass, which is going to be great. I don't know how I feel about the current battle pass for season 1. I feel like it's I just heard that the battle pass and cosmetics were going to be really cool, so I think I was kind of overpromised, under-delivered of what I've seen so far. The mythic skin idea is pretty cool. As far as I can tell, it's kind of like those Fortnite skins that you can kind of add on to and change things. From there, they don't have it really detailed. Next year, we'll have the PvE, I hope. Hopefully it's great. Blizzard, please try not to let this game flop. I don't know if I can do it again. Halo, Battlefield, Call of Duty it came back. My 3 favorite games died and came back and then died again. Don't let Overwatch do the same. If Overwatch 2 doesn't work, will there be a 3? Will it be able to come back? Don't let your universe die. We care about it a lot. We love your characters and your universe, the lore you've created. If not any of that, we love the gameplay and how it feels, and I don't want to see that end before it's ready to. Sorry if my voice was a bit raspy or shaky or something. I just streamed for about 3 to 4 or 5 hours with my good friend Evan. We run a channel called Half Step. We do mostly Pokemon stuff and Mario Baseball at the moment. So if you're into that, check it out. I'll put the link down below. I appreciate you for listening this far. If you did, I will see you next time if I ever make another video.